I'm about to place a trade live on camera here on YouTube on Euro Yen, and we're going to watch the trade play out from start to finish together. So if you stick around to the end of this video, that's what you're going to see. Let's take a look at Euro Yen here on the 1 hour chart. And what I'm actually going to do is we're going to give this a little bit of time. We're going to do a time lapse here, and you can watch the Euro Yen analysis that I do, and I'll come back and talk about it in just a second. Okay, so a little thoughts so far is take a look at this. What we can see is that just from this 1 hour chart, you can see we're looking at Euro Yen, and of course, each time price has dipped, we've been seeing a nice little rally from the bulls. I'm looking to take advantage of that pattern that we're seeing by buying this thing as it starts to pull back. Very straightforward thing. It's like the simplest concept ever. When it go down, you buy up. When you go down and go buy up, it's like the simplest concept ever. But again, sometimes simple is the stuff that works in this trading game. Anyways, what we're gonna do now is I'll take a look at the higher time frames, mark the chart up, and we'll take a look at that. Okay, so as I wrote down in my notes here, basically the simple concept here is the moving averages are moving nicely. On the higher time frames, this thing is definitely still in buy city. We've been seeing this thing very, very strong overall, and I'm looking to be a part of it. In fact, if I add one more note here, I think that a very reasonable place that price wants to retest is the previous high. And taking a look at the 4 hour chart, you can see that that's pretty dang reasonable. We've seen this thing putting in those higher lows. We've seen demand coming into this market. And I think it's very rational that for the lower time frames, we could see a bounce off of this pullback level. In anticipation for that move, that's going to be one of my primary targets with this trade. So now let's head back to the lower time frame and actually execute the position. Okay, so now we are going to go ahead and execute the position. Bam, just click the button and we are into the trade. So Euro Yen is now live, and I want to make a little bit of a note on this stop loss placement that I just said. In fact, let me go ahead and just add in a line so we can kind of see exactly where that trade is going. Bam, 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 and stop loss placement. Perfect. Okay. So why is the stop loss here? Well, I made a note here, just in case of liquidity grabs. What I do with my stop loss is I try to do my best to give this just a bit of room to do any sort of craziness that sometimes price does. Have you ever noticed that sometimes price will come down to a level and oscillate just around that area just before jumping back the other way? There's a whole school of thought. A lot of traders, some of the SMC traders, like to really focus on that. And I do incorporate to a degree just the idea of stop loss placement when regarding, liquidity grabs and things like that. I've been in the game for a very long time. I've studied, back in the day, things like Wyckoff method and all sorts of stuff like that. I don't want to say I'm, a certified pro or anything, but
you can't conceive of what I'm capable of.
No, I'm just kidding. I like everyone else, I have plenty to learn, but I will say this. I take note of some of those practices, some of the funny business that sometimes will go on at these levels, but I'm still just a fan when it comes to technical price action of doing what has worked for me always, which is paying attention to support, paying attention to resistance, supply and demand, that sort of simple concept. Now, let's go to the next part of this phase. If this price comes down and nails the stop loss, we're going to be out, right? Very, very simple. I'm risking just under $200 because I do have another trade open at the very same time and perhaps want to build even more positions on open things. So I'm going really small with the lot size. 49,000 units, that's 0.49 lots, very small for a swing trade. But again, we're looking for potential moves on up to the previous high. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and write this up to members inside of our Discord channel where I share all of my trade alerts, and I'll come back in a second. Okay, so let's take a look at this Euro Yen trade alert that I just shared with members. What we can see here is that I just put this up on the trade alert section inside of our Discord. Shared the same screenshot that we were just looking at on the price action chart, looking for basically a break and retest entry. Very straightforward price action readings. And also wanted to talk a little bit about the market scanner as to why I actually ended up taking this trade to the long side, why I'm biased to the long side. So let's take a look at that now. With all my trades, I use our market scanner here. This is a proprietary tool that our team has been building for the last several months, and Euro Yen actually topped the list. That was what caught my eye. I had to take a look at it, and when I saw the 1 hour chart setting up, that was definitely a perk. So if I take a look at Euro Yen on the individual sheet, let's take a look at this. Again, gets a strong buy reading overall. We have a +5 score, and looking at some of the individual components, you can see sort of what we're thinking. If we look at COT data, which is smart money is essentially long biased on the pair, if anything, because you can see yen is very much shorted right now by institutional traders. Knowing that information can be very, very helpful because we know what the smart traders are tending towards. They're heavily stacked on the long side of, the short side of the yen here, which favors selling the yen, buying the euro, hence buying EURJPY. Okay, next up is retail sentiment. The crowd is super short on this pair. That's a perk to the upside for us. We want to be going against the crowd because the crowd tends to lose money. Seasonality, this little study right here is very interesting. You can see the month of June and July both historically are slightly positive for the euro yen cross, which is again something that our tool studies, scans for, and a very key component. Trend reading, strong upward trend. That one's pretty straightforward. We analyze that one from the chart. GDP growth and interest rates from the economic side of things favor the euro. GDP is right here, so GDP growth is positive in Europe, whereas it's actually negative as most recent data from Japan. And then of course JPY, which almost always wins in this category, at least right now in the last several since inception of this tool. Inflation and unemployment have been very, very low in the Japanese area. That's why it is considered one of the more safe haven currencies. Anyways, those are the only things going for the yen here, at least on our 8 metrics that we scan for. And finally, interest rate divergence favors the euro over the JPY. So all of those things said and done, that's going to build our bias of direction. So you might be wondering, why are you looking to buy and not sell? Well, this is how I find it. The Edge Finder is scanning for real world metrics. I don't just look at the price action chart, although I do love price action. I also use the Edge Finder to scan for market data that's actually going to be impactful to direction. So again, we've been biased to the upside and finally got an entry here, so this is awesome. What we'll do here now is I'll pause the video and come back once things get going on euro yen. Wow, you guys, it's been about 8 hours or less whenever I went to bed and woke up again. Looking at euro yen, look at this development since we last checked on it. And I want to talk about this a little bit because here's the thing. I made a point about the stop loss placement on this trade. And what I mentioned was I put my stop loss below previous support by a wide enough margin to account for any potential quick liquidity runs. Now, here's the thing. I don't want to get into a whole thing about smart money concepts or anything like that because I've had a history on the channel of not necessarily, I'm friendly with the people. I know Michael, the ICT pioneer, fine gentleman, very nice guy. And, I know the thing is about trading is that there are people who are newer to this stuff who believe that you really can only approach trading one way or the highway. And that's just not the case. But here in this case, what I did is I bought a level of support, a very simple technical point, and it worked beautifully. If you had waited in this case for the liquidity run, quote unquote, it never came. In fact, price never jumped underneath here to grab stop losses or anything like that. And it didn't matter to me because I was still able to execute my trade and get into the position. Now, the reason I point that out is because there's not one system or style of trading that is just absolutely dominant and everybody else is an idiot, right? A lot of times SMC traders or some of the, just really there's lots of traders who will do this. Newer traders who believe that their system is impeccable and indestructible will make those sort of claims. But regular traders, veteran traders, years of experienced traders will never sort of make that claim. They know that every system has flaws and is imperfect. So there are times where you just genuinely may miss a great opportunity like this if you were looking for a liquidity grab or a quick shot underneath to grab stops and that sort of thing. So in my case, what I did here to enter into this trade, I entered and I widened my stop to account for the possibility of something like that happening. Anyways, this is just a little learning lesson for you, or a little learning lesson I was wanting to talk about here on the trade. So price shot off of our level beautifully. This level was just about pinpoint perfect. We entered in, you can see on the 5-minute chart. Look at that. I mean, I wish all my trades were this good of an entry. They are not. I'll be completely the first one to say that. Look at that. I mean, bam, hit that right on the nail on the head and shot off there on Euro Yen. So looking back at the 1-hour chart, what's the plan? Well, remember, the plan is still the beginning idea. We need to take the risk off the table. That's the first thing. We could make a mark here and say, well, price was able to break through this level. That's great. And I think probably within reason, instead of just trailing to stop loss, the stop loss to break even, we've broken out already. By the time I woke up, we had already seen a significant move here. So what I'm actually going to do, we are coming into that resistance point that we highlighted. I'm going to go ahead and trail my stop loss up to this point. Now, let me show you something. So if we look at the 4-hour view, look at this. We're coming into resistance. We already hit our target idea in terms of Euro Yen. So what that means is it's time to start trailing that stop aggressively. That's why we're in profit now. So at this point, we can't lose money on the trade, but in the worst case, we might only make 130, which of course is not that bad. If we're really correct about Euro Yen and we see this thing continue to trend and to break out of previous resistance, we'll be watching to see if this level can break out and continue higher. If it does, we'll trail that stop. We'll continue to let this trade run. And if it doesn't, we'll take our profit should we see a collapse underneath this level of support here, looking left. Very, very simple technical trade here from now on. I'm really excited about how well that the Edge Finder called this one in terms of a strong buy. Like I said earlier, it was the top rated buy on the Edge Finder at the time of picking up the trade. So that's kind of awesome. Anyways, we're in a good position, floating around $368. Nothing crazy, but on one of my positions that I have open, you know, just to pop like this, it's kind of cool. So what we'll do is we'll pause the video. I'll come back once things move again. All right, guys, and we are all out of the trade here for not a lot of money, but you can see it popping up on the screen now, just over $100. Quick, really quick trade. You can see this is a 1-hour chart. So I took this last night. Price rallied off of the level that I chose and ultimately pulled back here today and looking a little bit weak in the New York session. After price broke this level, I went ahead and stopped out of the trade. And I don't hate the idea of potentially re-entering, actually. So I may be looking out for something that on the lower time frames, but for now, quick $100 on the trade. Cannot complain about that. Still think that there may be some more upside here, and potentially we could see a break of this area. And here's another thing. This is why I was very quick to jump out of a trade here. Take a look. We're coming into the higher time frame major level of resistance if we look left. And so I don't really want to mess around with that as we come into a major spot like that. I'm going to be very quick to say, you know, I'd like to see this thing really break out quickly. Otherwise, I'm going to look for more confirmation that we could potentially be breaking out. So that's where I'm at with Euro Yen. I don't mind being stopped out here because, again, rejecting off this level is definitely a red flag for me. And I'll take my $100 or $120, whatever it was, my $150 profit, and I'll walk away and potentially come back when another setup arises. But again, beautiful entry, very short trade here, just overnight and basically the next day, closing out for a profit. So nice little trade. If you are not already in the Discord and you would like to join, remember you to use the link down below in the description. Closed out that trade and shared the update with members. So if you're not already in the Discord, the link will be down below in the description. If you have any questions, you can also contact one of our team members. We'll pin the comment so that you can do so in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time. Looks like it's time for your next trading video. Check out the videos here and here for more free trading content that should help you in your trading journey. We try and keep it real here, so make sure to subscribe for more content that is down to earth, realistic Forex trading content. See you in the next video.